I'm right below the dam off of Weidrick Road, just outside of Wellsville, New York, in the Genessee River. These rapids here are right below where I really want to fish, which is the step or a dam built in the river. What I want to do is I want to get above the dam. The water there is about 3 or 4 feet deep, and I want to float a salted minnow with the current down into these rapids right here. The water is still a little bit higher than I'd like it to be. The current's a little bit stronger, but for early May, these water conditions are good. It's clear, it's a nice day, and I'm hoping to catch some trout. You can see the way that the water creates a back swirl when it spills over this dam. What that does is it creates a pocket with a lot of oxygen where the current isn't quite as strong, and the fish can lay in ambush waiting for something to get washed over or a minnow to swim by and get an easy meal. What I'm going to do is float a salted minnow along with the current through that white water into the shallows where the rocks are, hoping that a trout is going to bite on it. The current is really strong in here. I can feel the pressure of that water against my legs. I'd sure hate to fall down in here and lose it. It would certainly be the end. Places I look for are spots like that rock right there, right in the middle of the picture. You see how the water kind of swirls around it? That's the place I most expect to find a trout. In a lot of cases, what I do is cast a lure by that and reel slowly against the current and let the lure do its thing. The problem is the current's so strong that it wants to skip off at the top of the water, so you gotta use something about 1/4 of an ounce and reel it real slow so it sinks. If I'm using a salted minnow, I'm gonna let it float right over that rock. This is a quick look at the rig that I'm using. I'm using 2 size 10 Eagle Claw hooks. Last year when I came here, I had a dozen good solid strikes off the solid minnow, but wasn't able to catch any trout. So this year, I decided to change my strategy. Going with 2 hooks should increase my chance of catching a fish. And this is a quick look at how that salted minnow is rigged. You're going to notice 1 hook through the head and 1 near the tail. I'm not using a sinker with this rig because I don't want it to sink to the bottom. I want it to float downstream with the current or swirl around in that back swirl just over the dam. There's so many rocks in here that if this sunk to the bottom, it would snag up every time, and more time would be spent re-rigging the line than actually fishing. This is a nice healthy rainbow trout. I caught it just below the spillway in a dam above Weidrick Road, just outside of Wellsville in the Genessee River. You can see it's been eating pretty good. The odds are it's probably this year's stock. Look at the coloration on this specimen. It's an awesome fish. The rainbow trout really seem to like the rapid white water in the Genessee River, especially around these dams. The odds are this one came from the hatchery. The Genessee River is one of the rare waters around that seems to get rainbow trout stocked in it anymore. These are a few lures that I've had pretty good luck with in the faster moving water. The first one is a blue and silver little Cleo spoon. It weighs 1/4 of an ounce, and that's why I just caught that nice rainbow trout on. The middle lure is an all silver little Cleo, and it weighs 1/8 of an ounce. The last lure is an all silver Phoebe. It also weighs 1/8 of an ounce. I've had best luck casting downstream and reeling really slow against the current. These also work in the deeper or slower moving pools, but not quite as effectively. A quick look upstream from the dam shows the water is very calm. This is also very good fishing. Right now I'm about halfway out into the river. This is about 3.5 feet of water I'm standing in, and at the point where the current is at its absolute strongest. One thing I don't like about wading out here is these two rocks right here. Okay, these are a lot bigger than they look on your screen. To the left, which is slightly upstream, the water gets a little deeper, so I don't dare go around it. To navigate through here is very, very tricky. This is a very unforgiving place. It's very important to remember that you got to watch every step you make out here. You can't be in a hurry, and you can't make any sudden movements. It'd be very easy to fall over with a foot caught in between those rocks and break an ankle. It'd also be very easy to fall over and get washed over the spillway, be knocked unconscious on the rocks below in the rapids, and drown swirling around in that back swirl. I caught this brown trout on an all silver little Cleo spoon in the calmer waters above the dam on Weidrick Road just outside of Wellsville. This trout's about 12 inches long. You can tell it's pretty well fed, probably this year's stock. The brown trout seem to like calmer water a lot better than the rapid water that you find below the dam. This is a quick look downstream from the dam. About 150 yards in the distance, you can see a bridge, and that's on Weidrick Road. The fisherman in that pool is a good friend of mine. He's a fellow YouTuber, goes by the name of SportsWolf3. You can also see his videos on fast food toy reviews. He's actually the guy that got me started in YouTube. He likes to use artificial lures, and the odds are he's probably using a rooster tail spinner right now as we speak. I think he just missed one. Yeah, my friend the Sports Wolf just caught this brook trout here. It was about 12 inches long. One thing I like about the brook trout is they're very, very pretty. They got the yellow spots, and on the belly, the orange fins have white stripes. And this one is actually tagged. You can see above the dorsal fin the orange tag, and that's from the annual trout derby. The Wellsville Lions Club, they host an annual trout derby here every year, usually at the end of April. If you're interested, you should get online and check it out. So what'd you catch it on?
A little spinner, a little blue-green spinner.
What kind? Was it a Panther Martin or a Panther Martin? Okay, my next guess would have been a rooster tail. I didn't know that there was brook trout in here. I sure do wished I could have got the prime footage of him catching this.
It was fun.
A couple of years ago, I made the mistake of trying to walk out through these rocks. Of course, the water level was much lower back then. I got about 10 feet out and found it difficult to find solid places to put my feet in all the rocks. It was very difficult just to be able to turn around and make it back to the shore. That's a mistake that I'll never make again. If we look downstream, we have a nice little pool. If you notice the water, it kind of swirls around like a whirlpool. You notice a little bit of a back swirl. This is a nice deep hole, and usually there's a lot of trout caught out of here. What I like about this river is that the bed is mostly rock and gravel. When it rains, this water clears up really quickly because of that. A quick look down will show you that the surface I'm standing on is mostly gravel. I'm underneath the bridge on Weidrick Road. The water here is fairly calm and we have a nice deep pool. The bottom where I'm standing is mostly mud. This is the type of pool where I prefer to use live bait, usually white worms, with a sinker and let them sink to the bottom and wait for the trout to bite. The one feature here that really grabs my attention is the embankment on the other side of the river. This extends downstream for probably 100 yards. I'd guesstimate that the water is anywhere from 3 to 6 feet along that embankment. And there's a lot of big rocks in the bottom of the riverbed over there. You can see one sticking up in the middle of the picture. I really wished I could get close enough to that to parallel cast a lure downstream and reel it slowly against that embankment to entice a bite. As you can see, the other side of the river has a very steep and rocky embankment. If able to get down that, there's really nowhere to stand. The Genesee River has become a place that I look forward to returning to every spring, especially in May when the weather is warmer and the water levels are much more fishable. Another tradition that has become synonymous with these trips to the Genesee River has been stopping in Wellsville on the way home to order some Texas hots for lunch or dinner. The trip just wouldn't be complete without satisfying that craving. This video will close with some additional photographs of the river and of the Wellsville area. I'm Marc Tex Wilson. Thanks for watching.